Hi everybody, this is Steve Ludwig, host of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture and the Beatles Hour with Steve Ludwig at planetludwig.com. Here's an interview we did with Deborah Dutch from July 15th, 2014. It's from show number 49. To hear the entire show, check out the menu at planetludwig.com. And now, please enjoy the interview.
Our next guest is an actress and producer who's acted in over 50 movies and has worked in films with people such as Goldie Hawn, Steve Guttenberg, Gary Busey, Carl Weathers, and Action Jackson. She's appeared on TV shows Miami Vice, General Hospital, my wife's all-time favorite soap, and The Young and the Restless. Her latest release is The Hollywood Warrioress, and her character, the Hollywood Warrioress, is also being made into a comic book. Now, on Saturday, July 19th, she'll be at the Gotham Super Collector Show, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Holiday Inn at 440 West 57th Street in good old New York City. Please welcome our very busy guest, Ms. Debbie Dutch. Hi, Debbie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve. I'm so excited to be on your cool Steve Ludwig. What is it, pop culture?
It's close enough. Classic pop culture.
Classic pop culture. That's
right.
Even cooler. I'm telling you, this is fun.
That makes all the difference in the world, Debbie, right? It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, classic car, classic horror movies. But
classic
that's one of my questions.
Queens. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I'll tell you now, on the 19th, it's so great that you're going to be at the Gotham Super Collector Show in New York City. What's it like when you get to really get up close and personal with your fans? You enjoy that, or sometimes does it get a little daunting, or how do you like that experience?
No, Steve, I'm just telling you, I am so excited. I can't tell you. I haven't done Gary Lyons' show, the Gotham Collector Show, for a couple years, and I just love it. It is just so much fun, and all the shows that I do are just such a blast. And I love traveling across the country doing shows because I have fans that are in New York and Maine. I even have fans like in Europe. I get letters from Russia and Romania and Italy and South America. But I haven't gone to London to do a show yet, but I think I will soon. But I just love it, because I correspond with them. I have a fan club, and they are, all my fans, both men and women, are just so beautiful, and I love them. They're not just fans to me; they're like friends, and I made really close friends with a lot of my fans. That I call them on the phone. Like I just had a fan come out to L.A. and I met him for coffee at Starbucks, and we hung out and talked and shared stuff, and I heard about his family, and I don't want to get emotional. I love my fans so much.
Oh, that is so wonderful. Isn't it amazing? I mean, the Internet, of course, has made the show, the world so much smaller, but isn't it amazing that you're so far-reaching with the Internet in Europe and all over? It's got to be great for as an actress as yourself. Great way to connect with the fans.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know the old expression. It's a small world.
Right.
Now with the Internet, I mean, it's like everybody's within reach within seconds.
Yeah. There's a comedian, his name is Stephen Wright. He has a famous line. He said, "It's a small world, but I wouldn't want to paint it."
Oh, that's cute. I love that.
Now, Debbie, you're on Facebook. I want all your fans, all of our listeners to know how they can get in touch with you. It's Deborah Dutch on Facebook, right?
Correct.
Okay, Deborah, the cool spelling of Deborah Dutch.
Yes.
And you're also on Twitter.
Actually, I think I am on Twitter, but I don't. I just have to tell you, I'm so busy, and it's really hard for me to just keep onto the different computers and everything.
Social media stuff, yeah.
It really is. I have my hands full with my email and Facebook, and MySpace sort of died, so that one I don't have to worry about. But I do have a MySpace, and my personal webpage is now under construction. We're building a new website. So
I'm
pretty
sure
soon that'll be a direct line. I directly communicate with my fans through my website, debbiedutch.com.
Okay. Yeah, we'll look for Debbie. I'm sure when it's ready that you'll post that on your Facebook page too, alerting everyone.
Yes, I sure will. Because once you join my fan club, you're a member for life.
That's it. That's great.
That's it. You don't have to renew any dues or anything.
Nice. Now, Debbie, you got your start on Broadway. Tell us about that.
You know, Steve, it's such an interesting story. I'm so glad you wanted to ask me that question. You know, ever since I was a little girl, I was like a ballet dancer, and I was going to be a professional ballet dancer. But unfortunately, or fortunately, actually fortunately, you know, I also was a cheerleader and, you know, gymnast, whatever. And we were doing cheerleading tryouts, and I was like co-captain, and I was just demonstrating a real simple move. I'm going to really keep it short because we have a time frame here and so many interesting questions. But I broke a little bone in my knee, and after it healed, I just didn't have the strength in my right knee to do 4 hours of toe a day. So right to the stage, musical theater, you know, just modern dancing, rock and roll dancing. I became I won't go into that's another interview. But anyway, what happened is when I went to college, I majored in theater arts and French, and because I love the French theater, you know, I won't get into all that, Moliere and everybody, you know, and but what happened was when I graduated, my grandmother said to me, "So what are you going to do now? You know, you have to go out in the world and make a living." And I said, "Well, Grammy, you know, I love acting." She says, "I know," because I have to share with you, Agnes Moorehead actually was best friends with my grandmother, and my grandmother wanted, my grandmother wanted. Cool. Yeah, my grandmother wanted Agnes to come to. I was in the junior play. Before I even got to the senior play, Agnes Moorehead came to my high school to watch me picnic as Millie, and because Grammy wanted to make sure that I had enough talent to take it out in this rough world, you know. And Agnes was a big star, you know, Bewitched and all that, and Agnes is sitting there. After the show, Grammy turns to Agnes and goes, well, Agnes, does Debbie have enough talent to take this to, you know, the next level? And Agnes Moorehead said, "Oh, yes, dear. She's very talented." And I'm not bragging. I'm telling you that you asked me this question. And believe it or not, her last days, I'm going to start crying. Her last days, because my grandmother had a really cool apartment at 66 and 3rd Avenue, Agnes Moorehead took over, was in Gigi, and she played the mother or grandmother in Gigi, and she got cancer. So we were roommates together because Agnes was best friends with my grandmother. It was a beautiful apartment, and I slept in one bed, and Agnes slept in the other bed, and so that's kind of like a sad Broadway experience. But her last days before she went off to where she had to go to finish off her life, I was rooming with her. And but anyway, I went and auditioned in Broadway. I went to audition at Circle in the Square Theater on Broadway, and they pick a junior company, and the auditions are nationwide. People, kids fly in, and I was really, really young. And because, you know, you guys start your life out, you know, at a young age. You can't wait around till you're like 23 or 24. You got to get going there.
Got to get the foot in the door, sure.
Yeah. So I went and I auditioned, and I was accepted in the junior company at Circle in the Square Theater. And so we do shows on the dark nights. And it was at the big theater, 50th and Broadway, and it was absolutely fabulous. And if you know the Frank Sinatra, who sings that? If you can make it, Liza Minnelli. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Well, yeah, Frank Sinatra and Liza, New York.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it was tough. Oh my gosh, the second year in the company, they cut everybody. Oh, I won't get into that story. I just never forget my my little show in the Rose Tattoo, and it all weighed on that performance. I played Rosa in the Rose Tattoo, and let me tell you, and my uncle, my famous Uncle Paul Roebling, very famous actor. He was in Prince of the City with Treat Williams and with Roy Scheider.
Sure.
Blue Thunder. He was on Broadway. He did all the Tennessee Williams. He came and watched me. And that was when all the pressure was on. And when I saw him out there, he was like my mentor in acting, Paul Roebling. And I could see him in the back of the theater. I'm going to cry again. You were asking these heartfelt questions that are connecting with the core of my heart and my soul.
I feel like Barbara Walters, Debbie.
I know. I was actually on her TV show, with my grandmother, with Barbara Walters. I met her back in the day in New York City when I was on Broadway. But anyway, I passed the litmus test. But what happened was I fell in love with a rock star who had a contract out in L.A., and I left Broadway and went in a cab to the airport with my luggage. And I'll never forget the cab driver. He was like a middle-aged Afro-American gentleman, salt and pepper hair. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me, he goes, "What's your name?" And I go, "Debbie." And at that point, I wanted to change my name to all these exciting names like Tamara, Heather, Zara, because I'm going to Hollywood. I got to change my name, And he goes, "Debbie what?" And I go, "Debbie Dutch." And he goes, "Debbie Dutch?" Because, he thought my name was up in Lights in Broadway, but it wasn't in Lights. But he was picking me up at the Broadway Theater to go to Hollywood. And I said, "Yeah, Debbie Dutch." And he goes, "That's iron." And I go, "It's what?" And he goes, "Iron." And he made a muscle with his arm, and it's this. And I said, "Oh, thanks." And from that moment on, I never thought of changing my name again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow, Debbie Dutch is a very cool story, a very cool name.
Yeah, it's a true story. So I never changed my name when I came to Hollywood. For a while, I was Deborah Chaplin in Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave, and Debbie Roebling in a couple of things. My grandmother wanted me to use the Roebling name because
your
it's
uncle, yeah, sure.
Yeah, well known in New York City, et cetera, and so forth. But it was always it just stayed Debbie Dutch. That gentleman, that cab driver, was so right on.
Right, whatever he is, right? Thank you, sir.
In heaven, he's in heaven now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Debbie, you just mentioned Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. Tell us about that. I mean, you have that really built up your.
That's my first movie when I came to Hollywood.
Yeah, tell us about it.
The very first gig I got a manager. I wasn't in Screen Actors Guild yet. I was very young. I went back and forth from L.A., before, that's another story, before, I actually settled here. And this happened while I was taking one of my trips just to field out, because I have another famous uncle, Carol Ryder, who lived here. He lives in Joan Crawford's old house up in the Hollywood Hills. And he's also best friends with my grandmother, but they were actually first cousins. He's a world-famous astrologer of the stars. So I stayed at his house and, to check out the waters, in Hollywood, test the waters. And I got this part. I had this manager named Guy, I want to say Guy Manning, but it's so long ago I can't remember. But he was so cool. He took one look at me and said, I'm gonna work with you. And he evidently got the audition. I didn't even have to audition for it. Mm-hmm. He just called me on the phone and said, you got to meet with the Korean film company. And it was when they were trying out different kung fu artists to be the next Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had died, and there was a big flurry in the late 70s of martial artists that were going to try and they were vying for the next Bruce Lee position.
Were there ever, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was very exciting. And I never did martial arts. This is another thing most people don't know. Yet in the movie, it looks like I'm a martial artist, but I'm not. But I had to learn pretty fast. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I met with a Korean director and the whole crew. They come over from Korea, and it's called Hop Dong Film Limited, and Korea Hop Dong Films Limited, and they come over and they stay here, and they get like apartments, and they had a big movie production company, and I went to this big dinner in Koreatown here in L.A., beautiful restaurant, and I go in, and I'm so young. I may be 17 at this time, and I go through the door, and the moment the lead actor, his name is Jun Chong, caught sight of my green eyes, blue-green eyes, I didn't have to say another word, because if you look at the movie, for some reason, I guess the Korean film style, it's the eyes, and yeah, they just zero in on my eyes, and I'm, and the different scenes, and it seems like through the whole movie I'm running and scared and being kidnapped and saved and, everything else. If you watch the movie, it's a pretty cool movie. I loved it, but it almost killed me. But anyway.
Because of all the physicality of it, Debbie?
Oh, well, that's another question. I'll tell you when we get down there. Yeah, physicality, but a lot of other things, too. Okay. I had to do my own stunts and everything. I'll tell you when we get to that question.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's definitely one of the toughest shoots I ever did. And it's another reason why I was so happy to get in the union, which I got in shortly thereafter into Screen Actors Guild. But anyway, June took one look at my eyes and the director and the producer, and I could never understand a darn thing, I won't say a curse word, that they were saying because they always talked in Korean. And I was the only American there. But June was American, the guy who plays Bruce Lee. And he was American, so whenever he felt like telling me what, I'd say, June, what are you talking about? But at this point, I didn't know him. I just met everybody for the first time. It was at a dinner, so it's like 8 o'clock at night in Koreatown, and they have all this food on the table, but I wasn't even hungry. I remember I was just excited. I wanted to make sure I, got the deal. It was my first movie, and it was a lead. It's a huge part, and they start talking, low key, and then looking at me and just blah, 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 and looking at me, and I just sat there and sort of smiled, and then I laughed. They didn't say anything, and I, shook my hand and everything. I left, and then I got the phone call the very next day. Okay, you start shooting tomorrow. And it was very exciting. And I did make money. I made a fair amount of money on that movie. And then they wanted to sign me for a 5-picture deal. 5-picture deal, because I became, I hadn't even become a star yet in Korea. Right after that movie, they wanted to sign me in a 5-picture deal, and I think Guy got upset with me that I didn't do it. I said, Guy, my manager, I said, I can't do that. I'm a real actress. I'm off Broadway. I'm a trained New York actress. I can't be just running around screaming, fighting people, getting kidnapped, and for five pictures, that's like another at least another 2 or 3 years. I mean, right. You do I'd be doing 2 pictures a year. Maybe they would put in 3 pictures a year, but the problem with that, Steve, I'd be dead.
Yeah, they'd be.
I wouldn't have made it through.
The late Debbie Dutch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a cult favorite in that way.
No. But that's the story how I got it. And then when it did show, the funny story is that a friend of mine went to New York City. I didn't even know the movie was released, because that's another story. It got pirated. That's why the movie's looped. It's not even my voice in it, but maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. But there was a big financial thing. Somebody stole it and then they pirated it. My understanding, they pirated it in Japan and looped it. And but anyway, it made a big opening. But in New York City, in Times Square, big billboard of me in Times Square. I'm in L.A., of course, or maybe I was in Miami at college. I don't even remember. But I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and he called. He says, "Debbie, guess what I just did?" In those days, they didn't have cell phones. He said, "I just saw you in a big billboard in Times Square." And I said, "Oh, ha, ha, ha," laughing, because in those days we all wanted to be big stars. You you come out to Hollywood to be a big star. And so I started laughing, and he said, "No, really." And I went in to watch the matinee, and all these drunks were there going, woo, woo, every time I ran across the screen and wiggled my little butt in those tight jeans and my little boobies, you know, because I didn't wear a bra in a lot of the scenes because, you know, and I just laughed. I hooted. I thought that was the funniest thing. I never saw the billboard. Never saw the movie in the big movie theaters. No, but it did happen because a friend reported it to me, and he said it was hilarious because he saw a matinee on Times Square, and he said, and all the drunks were. I'm telling you, this you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, you can't. The drunks love you, Debbie.
Okay. Yeah, I'm telling you, I thought it was funny too. We better move on to another question. Is the interview over yet?
No, not yet, Debbie. You know, as a matter of fact, before you said you made a comment that that's for another interview. Does that mean I can hold you to coming back on again sometime?
Oh,
we have time left,
that.
but I would love to continue in the future.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the answers short, Steve, but it's hard to keep them short, but I'll shorten them up. But there's so many cute little stories that my fans may not have heard before, about the matinee and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll go till the time limit, and then if we don't cover certain questions, we'll get to it. But I want you to come back. But I still have other questions.
Awesome. I love it.
Now, tell me about the legendary Roger Corman. You worked in You were in Roger Corman's Hard to Die. What was it like working with Roger Corman?
Well, let me tell you, it was unfreaking believable. Can I just tell you that? It was so cool. I can't even tell you. It all started because of Jim Wynorski. Now, I don't know if you know who Jim Wynorski is.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Well, right now, I'm going to share this with you. He is one of the top Roger Corman directors of all time. Now, and Roger even gave him, the power to do whatever films he wanted, and he did the casting, and the whole 9 yards. That's how powerful he is. And he just would have one hit right after the other. Well, I met him at a party in Beverly Hills up in the Estates, right next to where Herbie Hancock lives, the famous jazz player. And, we just hit it off. We were friends. He thought I was cute. I hope if Jim hears this interview, he'll giggle. But I was with somebody else at the time, a famous actor that works with Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sly Stallone. I don't know if you ever heard of Sonny Landham. He's a big Indian.
Yes, sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to marry me at that time. But anyway, so I was in it.
And you broke his heart.
Well, that's another story. Okay. I can tell you all about that. And Arnold and Sly and Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren just moved into my building where I live in L.A. He's up in the penthouse. I bumped into him. He has a white Maserati, pearl white with gold all on, on the hubcaps and on the emblem. Wow. And I went up to him. I said, Dolph, remember me? I met you with Sonny at the premiere of your movie at the Roosevelt Hotel. I said, it's Debbie. And he goes, oh, yeah, hi, Debbie. He says, was I sober? And I said, oh, yeah, but we were all partying, having fun, and it was cute. But anyway, that's the time I met Jim Wynorski. I guess it was late 80s, and he was so cool and awesome. And I did a cameo in Haunting of Morella with Jim Wynorski. And this is another whole story, Steve. We don't have time for all this. I'll just cut to the chase. Jim called me on the phone, and he said, Deb, he called me Deb. Deb, I have the perfect part for you. I think it was written almost for me, I think. I don't think it was written for me per se, but when Jim was looking at the casting, he said, I see Debbie Dutch in this part. And he called me on the phone. No audition, nada, nothing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a great
that's the way I love getting my roles.
Yes.
because I had worked with Jim before. He knew me. He knew me as a person. He knew my acting. You know, and before you knew it, I was in rehearsal in the Roger Corman studios with Gail Harris, the late Karen Mayer Chandler, and I don't want to start crying on that one. She was dating Jack Nicholson on the side, and I better not say that because that was supposed to be a secret because he was with Angelica Houston at the time. But I mean, us girls, Melissa Moore. Are you there, Steve, or is
I'm here. I'm
okay.
here.
Let me know when we got to close out because it's getting that time. Because
we have about,
this is a good place. This is a good place to pick up on the next time we're together because there's still so many stories about this movie. It was a cool, and Tony Naples, Melissa Moore, oh my gosh, just Bridget Charney. I mean, those girls, if you see that movie, there's a whole cult following from Hard to Die. It was on television. It was on Cinemax. It went everywhere. And I had so much fun doing that movie. And I remember the day that Roger Corman came to the set. I had to run up the stairwell, and Peter Spellers, who plays Orville, you think he's a monster, but he's not really the monster. And we keep trying to kill him, and he keeps coming back to life. It's just the cutest little movie. It's funny. If you want a horror hoot, you turn on Hard to Die. It's a cult classic, that one. You talk about classic, you should really, watch that movie, Steve. It's a classic, but it's a comedy. It's so funny. And that's when I realized how funny I am.
I think I know what I'll be doing this weekend, Debbie. I'm going to definitely check out Hard to Die.
Oh, you got to rent it. And it's sexy. Absolutely. And I remember Jim saying one of the requirements is you have to take a shower. Not only pop your top, you have to do the shower scene. You have to have this shower scene. And of course, we all have our shower scene. And it's just adorable. But us girls on the set, we had so much fun. It was such a blast. But getting back to Roger Corman, this was a big scene because all the girls start getting killed off, okay? I'm the third to the last left, and this is before I get killed. But Orville's following me up the stairwell, and here I am in my stiletto heels, this sexy little flimsy little lingerie, and it's 6:30 a.m. on the set, hair, makeup, and we barely had our 8-hour turnaround. Barely. And I'm driving down to Venice, where Corman Studios are. And I'm in West freaking... no, actually, I was living in Beverly Hills at the time. But let me tell you, I had to be on the set, hair, makeup, and worked with a stuntman at that scene. And let me tell you, the stunt wasn't easy. I'm in high heels, running up and down this old, the metal stairwells. They have them in New York City. When you're running up, it clangs, and the railing is all wobbly and skinny. And they go faster, faster. You got to run up, and it goes around. It's a stairwell that goes around these corners up. And then I had to run back down, and Orville comes up, and I have to do like this side kick and then throat lock, and it was unfreaking believable. Well, who do you think's there at 6:30 a.m. when cameras started to roll? Roger Corman, and he was watching me. He was just standing there looking at me, and he was very beautiful. I mean, his demeanor, he was so cool. I remember, and he was dressed very, very nicely, not in a suit and tie, but he didn't need to have a suit and tie on to see his eloquence. And oh my gosh, I was so blown away, and I said, I can't mess up. Oh my gosh, because one thing about low budget films, Steve, and horror films, you cannot mess up. Because you got blood on you, you're gonna probably end up with some bruises, get shot, or in Mind Twister, I had to break glass. You can't mess up. You have to do it on the first take or no more than 2 takes. Otherwise, word will spread around that you can't take it on the first take.
Especially with Roger Corman, that's his forte, getting things done, in time and under budget and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anyway, that scene really sticks out in my mind. Oh, and then the death scene. I had to have what do you call those things on? I can't think of it. When they shoot you and then the blood comes out.
Yeah, I know, right? The blood, not pellets, but I know just what you mean. Splits
or blips or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I'm all wired up, and the death scene. You'll see the machine gun go around because we're trying to kill Orville, and I had a flashlight, and Gail has an AK-47, and she's going around the room with a shotgun, and a bullet ricochets. This is my death. The bullet ricochets and hits me, and it hits me right. Jim said, "It hits you right in the chest, right in the chest." And here I am standing there screaming, and you had to watch the bullet. It sparked, so you saw when the bullet came out, you could see against the wall, like it would be a spark. And I had to follow the line around, exactly, the line around the wall until it got to my exact position where the bullet would go right through my chest, put my hands on my chest, and fall back on my butt and die.
Oh, my God.
So I think I did it one time, and I missed the bullet timing by a millimeter or something. And they said, got to go back. And you got the squibs. That's what they're called.
The squibs, right.
Yeah. And so then he said, okay, do it again. Get it, Deb, get it. I said, I got it, Jim. I got it this time. Because it's a big deal, you know. When you see that death scene in Hard to Die, there's a lot going on in there. You have special effects, you got this, you got that, you get lighting, you got actors, and you can't mess up. You just can't mess up. So she takes the machine gun, and she's gone around trying to find Orville, and then she doesn't mean to kill me. But anyway, the machine gun shoots me right in the chest. And when you see this, it's so funny. I jump up in the air, fall back on my butt, and my knees come into my chest, and then my feet just jump up right in the air. My little tush comes off the floor again, and then the legs fall down flat on the floor, and I die. And when Jim goes, cut, everybody cracked up. It's the funniest death. I have to say, I would like you to take a poll on all the horror movies you've seen, and it sounds like I'm bragging. It's just darn funny. My feet just pop up in the air. The whole place cracked up. They couldn't believe how funny it was. It was so funny. And I'm trying to play dead on the floor, and my feet were up in the air, and then they fall down like that. And I'm not laughing. And then I hear everybody laughing, and I look up, and I said, did I do it okay? And everybody cracked up again. And it's right in the film. You'll see my feet pop right up. It happens really fast. So, the machine goes, and then bam.
Listeners, we have to have a mass viewing of Hard to Die this weekend.
You will.
Debbie,
you will love it.
You promised me you'll come back on. We've run out of...
And I'm in touch with all the girls, except I lost contact with Bridget. And she was just a little doll. I loved her. But all the girls, Gail, I do shows with, Melissa and I and we're all friends on Facebook. Karen, of course, passed away, unfortunately, way too young. And I saw her right before she passed away, too. Yeah, it was really something.
Well, Debbie, you will come back. I have more questions for you, but we're out of time. Will you please come back? I'll be in touch, and we'll definitely come back on and talk more.
Oh, I would love that, and I'm going to see you at the Gotham show, right? Gotham.
Yep. Again, everybody.
Let's do some more. My girlfriend Debbie D. We're going to be sitting together.
Debbie D.
Gary Lyons.
Yep. Debbie D's been on my show here, so good.
You know how close Debbie D and I are.
Yeah, I've seen some.
Let me tell you, it's rumored that we're girlfriends. You know.
Yeah. Well, some of the scenes that you've done together, I can see why that people would think that.
Girls just want to have fun.
Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun.
Debbie Dutch. Debbie's going to be at the Gotham Super Collector Show Saturday, July 19th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Holiday Inn at 440 West 57th Street, New York City. Also, Debbie, I just want to give a shout-out to Solomon Shurtok. He's a
I
talented
love Solomon. If it wasn't for Solomon, I wouldn't have met you, Steve.
I know, exactly. I appreciate Solomon. He really does me good all the time. So it's been a pleasure.
I love him. I can't wait to meet Solomon and you. And and of course I'll have a little present for you.
All right.
Something. I haven't figured out what it'll be yet. It's a surprise.
Oh, good. I look forward to it, Debbie. I really do.
All right, but those other questions, I hope we do get a chance to do them because some of them are so good. Your questions are fabulous.
Oh, thanks, Debbie. Yeah, I'm going to
You're a teacher, though, right? You're a teacher.
Yes, I'm a teacher.
So you're really smart. No wonder those questions were so cool.
Oh, see that? Thanks,
yeah,
Debbie.
you did your research.
Did my homework.
Yes, you did your homework.
I have to set an example.
That's right.
All
Debbie, your students would be very proud of you.
Oh,
darling.
Thanks. I appreciate it, and it's really been a pleasure talking with you, Debbie. And like I said, I'll see you on the 19th.
Yeah, and I'm honored, Steve, that you asked me to be on your cool show.